Growing up, this is what I would hear on television every week. For some, this opening is familiar to you. For many, it's a relic of what used to be 4Kids One Piece.
I left everything I own in one piece.
As a kid, I looked forward to the newest episodes of One Piece each week, but eventually, it just sort of vanished from my life. Now, as a kid, I was focusing on series like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Inuyasha, with Cowboy Bebop for good measure, but One Piece always felt like the series that got away. What if I never stopped watching One Piece as a kid? Rather, what would the 4Kids version of One Piece have done to my psyche? These questions have haunted me, obviously, but today, those doubts, those worries, those what ifs can be put to rest because, my dear viewer, I have finally read One Piece. And oh boy, do I have quite a bit to say about this one. So let's get into it. These are my first impressions of One Piece. So, obviously, as a 4Kids kid, going into the actual real One Piece for the first time, well, it was a surprise, and that's really where the comparisons end, and hopefully the last time I'll be bringing up that abomination. If by chance you're unfamiliar with One Piece, that's totally fine. The story takes place after the death of Gold Roger, the Pirate King. He famously left his immense wealth and treasure, as he says, in one piece. So, on the search for One Piece, many people decide to become pirates, giving way to a massive boom in the, pirating industry, and boy, are the stonks going up. Our story focuses on one character named Monkey D. Luffy, a boy who ate a mysterious fruit called the Devil Fruit. This fruit, upon eating, grants the person a permanent ability at seemingly random. And now, of course, our boy Luffy here ate one of these fruits and gained the ability to essentially stretch his entire body like rubber. Sort of like Mr. Fantastic, but without the hot girlfriend and, possibly a little crazier. That being said, Luffy is a fascinating character because, based on my first impressions, he seems extremely pure, though at the same time, dare I say, almost crazy. This was what surprised me about Luffy, as going in, I expected something sort of like your basic shonen protagonist MC at first. And he does indeed have those traits, it's still a shonen after all. But what is different here is that Luffy's innocence and pure drive to become the Pirate King and finding One Piece seems to be what gives his character no hesitation in nearly every moment of the first 20 or so chapters I've read thus far. Whether it be when he gnaws at the iron bars of a cage, blocking a cannonball by essentially turning himself into a human chonker boy, or simply staring into
your soul with those round pure eyes, which would signal the downfall of all humanity. Everything you will be, you will bow to him. You who will.
Subscribe and become a channel member to get access to my next One Piece video an entire week early, is what he would say. I guess. It's funny though, because this is our first impression of Luffy, because as a child in chapter 1, he literally stabs himself in the face with a knife just so he can prove to his sensei, red-haired Shanks, that he can be a pirate. The kid even says that he isn't afraid of pain. Who the hell says that, even as a kid? Only crazy people, that's who. That's how dedicated he is, though, to becoming a pirate, so much so that after eating the devil fruit and becoming a rubber man that can't swim, he still goes along with it, which Shanks himself says actually is a pirate's greatest weakness, is not being able to swim. So to still pursue his dreams despite this debilitating weakness, that's amazing to me. And actually, now that I think about it, let's talk about red-haired Shanks as well, because he's integral to the story of Monkey D. Luffy. Red-haired Shanks, well, he's pretty much the guy who inspired Luffy. Much like how Sea Nanners inspired my YouTube channel way back in 2009. That's right, I've been around that long. It's actually Shanks, Luffy's biggest inspiration, that tells him, hey, you ate the devil fruit. You can't become a pirate because you can't swim. But Luffy, just like the crazy little bastard he is, doesn't even listen to the man he looks up to the most. Though just because he looks up to him, there are a couple of key differences between Shanks and Luffy that I find interesting. Red-haired Shanks is sort of a chilled out pirate, pretty much. He's that kind of guy that takes White Claw summer to heart and just chills out at the bar, drinking his favorite pineapple flavored 5% alcohol beverage, and a dude comes in, destroys the White Claw, and even then he still has the patience and maturity to go, ha ha ha, that was a good one, buddy. Here's my last White Claw. He is able to ground himself and realize there is no reason to start any trouble with a crazy dude with an 8 million belly bounty on his head. He's a smart dude. Unlike me. But here is what's interesting. While Shanks takes it on the chin like a pro, Luffy feels he shouldn't take that from the, and I quote, the leader of the bandits? Okay, Higuma. Hey yo, you know what? Maybe he shouldn't. That's like being insulted on Xbox by a dude who just begged for recon armor. Should have slapped the taste out of his mouth, which for the most part, he actually does, eventually. But that shows, once again, the difference between the two and sets an example to us, the viewer, that Luffy has no hesitation, unlike his idol, red-haired Shanks. But that's what makes Luffy such a unique character. Honestly, he reminds me in many ways of Gon from Hunter x Hunter, which I have spoken about being one of the most psychotic characters I've seen in Shonen in previous videos. Luffy isn't quite there, but he sure gives the vibes at sometimes, though I've gotta say, he is the definition of hype so far in the story. His fights are often unpredictable because his fighting techniques and moves are just so damn, well, cool. It sort of reminds me of a kid that would have a big imagination shadowboxing in his backyard. That's Luffy's whole repertoire. For example, in the arc with Buggy, he uses a lot of really cool moves like Gum Gum Gavel, which is where he twists his arms together like a Twizzler, though Black Licorice is better, obviously. And using his hands creates, well, a gavel of sorts. Another one is one I mentioned before, but Gum Gum Balloon, which is when he breathes in, he makes a balloon out of himself and blocks a direct blow from a cannonball. These names are simple, but as with everything, simplicity doesn't mean bad, because in this instance, I think it adds to the charm of Luffy's character and is just another example of Luffy's pure approach to everything. It's almost as if Luffy simply never grew up. But that's just what makes him great. That brings us to the most beautiful pirate of the sea, Iron Mouse. Mace, Alvida. This character is rather interesting as it's based on a supposed real-life pirate named Alvida, who, after refusing to marry the Crown Prince of Denmark, ran away with her friends, stole a ship, and eventually came upon another ship without a captain, so she became that ship's captain. From there, Alvida fought the Crown Prince in battle, and being so impressed with her fighting spirit, he fell in love with her and married, happily sailing the seas together. While most likely a legend, Alvida is quite the woman. Despite being a clean freak, having an obsession with beauty, and being a stickler for camaraderie, she just uses that as an excuse for her terrible behaviors, and in reality, chews her crew up and spits them out when need be, ruling with fear. Also, while I'm sure some of you use the letters BBW to describe Alvida, I've been on the internet long enough to know you're probably watching this video right now. How you doing? I prefer the alternate use of BBW when it comes to Alvida, big bitchy woman. While I have no doubts she sees herself as beautiful, and in reality, she has a lot in common with Kyle's mom on this one. For example, the way she treats Coby is rather sad. Being the ship's caretaker and navigator, he should be treated way more valuably by Alvida, but instead is constantly threatened by her to the point that over 2 years, he's building a boat out of scrapped wood just to get out. That's dedication and an example of Coby's talent. But her oppressiveness has taken a smart person with a bright future and ruined his life for the worst. Upon meeting Luffy, he even offers up the boat he spent 2 years building to run away to Luffy just for free, because at this point, he believes he'll never escape Alvida and die under her thumb, then live free. This is something I quite enjoyed about Coby's character and think is actually a great life lesson for us weebs reading One Piece. Let me explain. Coby has a goal that he wants to achieve one day, though he's given up on it because of Alvida. So he asks Luffy what his goal is, which is to become, of course, the Pirate King. Coby is shocked to hear this because to this day and age of pirating, it is seen as an impossible task to achieve such a feat of the Pirate King. It's literally like if I announce on this channel I'm running for president and then win for not one but both terms. While as president though, I would make cat girls and cat boys a real thing. It's just not possible realistically for me to do all of that, right? Right? Well, for Luffy, that's a preposterous statement to make because he even agrees it would be a hard task to do, to become the Pirate King. And it will be a rough adventure filled with sacrifice. But the journey is just a means to an end, to the ultimate dream that Luffy believes he will achieve, that he knows he'll achieve. And that's more than enough to pursue it. I relate myself to Luffy and his reasoning as I started YouTube in 2011 on this very channel as a Call of Duty channel, making awful videos for over half a decade until I decided to become an anime channel. Since then, the SeaTactics channel went from 500 views a month, well really like 1, to 100,000 views a month. Sometimes even now, currently 1.5 million views a month. The journey is hard. It was hard. The journey was rough too, and it's still not over, but I will never give up until I reach 1 million subscribers, and even then, I don't think I'll stop. This is because this is what I was meant to do, and Coby for so many years has been oppressed to the point where simply dying for his dream is in itself a dream to even be pursuing in the first place. He's stuck. But it's with the help of Luffy that he gets up enough courage and strength to break free from the iron grasp of Alvida to pursue his dream of finally being able to become a Marine. Even though becoming a Marine would mean he'd have to turn against the very man who would set him free and inspire him to chase the dream in the first place. So now he vows to chase his dream, even if it means he'll die. Even if it means that the only thing he does is take down Alvida. To back this change up in character, when Alvida arrives, it at first seems like he's going to back down, but instead he calls her the rudest damn bitch, finally standing up for his beliefs. Even if it means angering his now former captain, he'll do it. And after Luffy takes her out, it's only up from there for Coby as they head out on a boat to find Luffy's next friend, Noah, Zoro. It's rather funny though, because Zoro has pretty much always been a character I've always adored. The reasoning being is his character design is without a shadow of a doubt one of the best created in an animated medium or manga or whatever in my opinion. His three-bladed fighting style is iconic. His green hair is unmistakable. His sash is so unforgettable. And so is his track record. Known as the Pirate Hunter, Noah Zoro is known as a bloodthirsty hound who goes around hunting pirates. Though sadly, even he gets captured. So Luffy and Coby go to his place of capture, the Marine base. Though it seems that Zoro isn't the only person spoken of in whispers, as Captain Morgan of the Marines themselves is also spoken of in a way, the same way, surprisingly. But why? The dude is a good guy, and Zoro is the bad guy that was captured, right? Eventually, we find out though, because they find Zoro who is tied up to a stake already for 9 days. How the hell do you survive for 9 days without the internet? Let alone food! Though surprisingly, it's Zoro who is begging to be untied, and while Luffy doesn't seem to care, probably because he's smarter than he seems and very perceptive of Zoro's fighting capability, Coby isn't convinced. Funnily enough though, it's a girl who shushes them and goes to give the tied up Zoro an onigiri. Though Zoro denies the food, telling her to leave or he'll kill her. This is when the son of the Captain Morgan, Helmeppo, arrives, twiddling his collar like an evil villain. This guy right here is a massive bag of dicks though, as he takes the onigiri and smashes it right in front of the little girl and Zoro. But his behavior makes a lot more sense when you realize he's the son of the captain and he can just get away with these things. Though I do find it quite hilarious that he makes this little girl cry, yet it's he who threatens others by telling them, because of his daddy, to say the least. The guy is pretty pathetic. Thankfully, he leaves and we learn that Zoro is supposed to survive an entire month in this state and he'll be set free at the end of it. But still, even then, in a sign of respect to the little girl, makes Luffy feed him the rice ball that Helmeppo smashed and crushed. Say whatever you will about Zoro being gullible or whatever, but the fact of the matter is that he's an incredibly nice person. despite being called a terrible monster of a man. The reality is that people are afraid of him because he killed Helmeppo's wolf, which he let run around and scare everyone. This eventually would lead to his arrest at the hands of Helmeppo as well. Essentially, it's Helmeppo that's riding roughshod around town causing a stir, while Zoro is simply trying to do the right thing and gets punished for it. That being said, Helmeppo lied to Zoro, and he'll instead be publicly executing him in 3 days instead of his promised 30. This revelation has Luffy deciding he's going to ask Zoro to be the next member of his pirate gang. That being said, this is where we are introduced to the real bad guy, Axe Arm Morgan. What a cool name. Sadly though, in this case, it's an instance of like father like son. Helmeppo seems to have taken a lot from his dad, but Morgan is a cut above the rest, that's for sure. This guy makes sure to send a Marine back to kill the little girl who fed Zoro. On top of that, the dude's name is literal. His arm is an axe, and his bottom jaw is a metal plate. He's like a Bond villain come to life, and it's both over the top and at the same time a great way to make you instantly hate this guy. So, on a mission to set Zoro free, Luffy and Coby split up. Luffy to find Zoro's swords and Coby to untie him. Though it's not as easy as you'd think because Coby is shot down in the shoulder and they're both cornered by Marines. While this is happening, Luffy finds Zoro's swords, so things are looking up in the world. This is when we get a flashback which is integral to the character of Zoro, and honestly, really endearing. As a kid, Zoro looked up to a girl named Kuina. She is a talented swordsman, but is struggling with the thought of growing older, as around her age is not only when she starts to develop as a woman, but as well will start to plateau in her ability as a swordsman because of the physical differences between men and women. Because of this, she wishes that she were a man, as she wouldn't have to deal with these issues and she could continue her life being a strong swordsman, not being held back by the truths of biology. Though Zoro, being young, can't accept the reality that his friend is going through this and won't rest until one of them is the greatest swordsman in the world, which actually does the trick, cheering Kuina up. What a ladies' man. Though sadly, Kuina's story ends before it could begin, as one day she simply falls down the stairs and dies. That's it. That's all it took. And so Zoro promises to become the greatest swordsman alive as a way to honor the life of Kuina. This is really sad, because Zoro says that he'll be so great that even heaven hears of his name. It does make me wonder what Kuina's influence on Zoro would have been if she hadn't died. Would they have become the greatest swordsmen alive? Either way, one thing's for sure is that Kuina had an effect on Zoro's life and changed it forever. Flash forward, and Zoro is finally set free after he agrees to join Luffy. We get to see the interesting fighting stance of Zoro, though, that has become synonymous with his character. 2 swords in his hand and 1 in his mouth. Luffy then hits a gum leg sweep, which looks absolutely amazing, and then Morgan actually orders the Marines to kill themselves, showing that once again he is by far the most ruthless foe in the series. Though it's not enough for him, as both Zoro and Luffy are able to take Axe Arm Morgan down, saving the day and the town from the corrupted Marine leaders. After the battle, we have a bit of a bittersweet parting as Luffy and Zoro leave Coby behind, though it is for the better. Coby now has a chance to join the Marines like he always wanted, though him being a pirate does threaten that. But it's Luffy who covers for Coby by beating him up in front of the Marines, and while they still know about Koby's past, they do accept him as a Marine. Plus, when Luffy and Zoro go to part, Coby and the Marines all salute them as they go, showing their gratitude for what they did for their people. This was a fantastic way to introduce Zoro and send off Koby's character, which I hope we see sometime in the future again. Coby was finally able to achieve his dream of becoming a Marine, and it wasn't because he was handed it. No, he put himself in harm's way by helping free Zoro, and in turn he was able to take out Axe Arm Morgan. Coby saved these people and redeemed himself from the time when he was with Alvida. This was amazing stuff. But much like with Coby and Zoro, even characters like Nami are presented really well here. They all have charm, and this is doubly so for my wife, Nami. One of the first 3 characters to be introduced, this woman is a welcomed addition because of how slippery she can be. Basically, Nami is the anti-pirate pirate of the series. She's the gal that only steals treasure from the pirates. Why is that? We'll get to that later on in the next part, but whatever her motivations may be, there is but one fact, and that fact is that Nami is fantastic. Our introduction to her shows us she's less a damsel in distress, more of a femme fatale when she fools a bunch of pirates by convincing them to give her water in exchange for her treasure. I mean, a pretty lady like her giving that booty away, and on top of that, she wants some aqua? Well, geez, what's the worst that could... And she tricked them. That's pretty much Nami's MO in a nutshell. It isn't a rare occurrence either. The very same chapter that this happens, she steals a map to the Grand Line. Running from the pirates she stole the map from, Luffy, well, in Luffy fashion, appears from nowhere like an RKO. Without hesitation, she pins it on Luffy and bolts. But after Luffy takes care of the bad guys, she proposes the two partner up. Which, I don't know. Luffy, my guy. Nami seems like a sussy baka. But that's the catch, right? Nami is the ultimate opportunist. She sees her partnering with Luffy as an opportunity because she saw firsthand his ability to take out pirates, something she may not be easily able to do, as we don't really know her fighting capabilities to a certain extent, or really if she has any to begin with. On this day, she saw clearly that Luffy was her chance to make something happen. I get the feeling that her character, there is something that's driving her to steal from these pirates, but it's not because she's some sort of gold digger trope or anything like that, but rather something deeper. Now, I'm theorizing here, but I'd hazard a guess. I'd say she's somewhat conflicted with her role, as while traveling on her own, she can handle herself, but it's obvious that that will only get her so far. So when she starts to interact with Luffy and Zoro, I guess that this lone wolf will realize that maybe her ways are getting to be, well, antiquated. She cares, obviously, for Zoro and Luffy's well-being, as there are multiple times when in danger she expresses worry and even will forgo the bag to save someone. Nami actually is a really good person with devilish but ultimately pure intentions. She's essentially like a vigilante against pirates, and that is in of itself a unique take on a character like Nami. What's better is that she even makes an alliance, though temporary, with Luffy and Zoro. This is something I'm most interested in because for her to partner with a gang of pirates directly contradicts her mission statement, which she even herself brings light to. While I will say Nami is materialistic, opportunistic, slippery, and a femme fatale, I can't help but shake the feeling that there is so much more than meets the eye when it comes to Nami. But once again, that's sort of what separates Nami from Luffy and Zoro, and really what makes the cast of One Piece unique, and what makes her unique in the cast of One Piece. That word, though, unique, it's something that I think describes One Piece pretty much perfectly so far. What I think makes this series unique is that it is, so far, just a fun time and a breeze to read. While the series has a lot of dark elements, it's still a bright and colorful series with characters like Luffy, Nami, Zoro, and Coby, who you want to see prosper and go on this grand hero's journey to find the One Piece. But as well, villains who stand in their way that so far all have unique looks to them with unique fighting capabilities. XR Morgan is a cool design that catches your eye almost immediately, just as an example. Same for Alvida as well, who even though demands only the most beautiful things, is ugly on the outside and well, inside. It's this blend of whimsy, humor, action, and drama that creates one of the more compelling reads in the shonen genre so far. At least that's just my opinion. Honestly, I cannot wait to wake up now and read a little bit of One Piece, because it's easy to pick up and it's easy to put down. It requires no effort to love, and that's really what I've taken away from my first impressions thus far. But this video, obviously, has already gone on long enough, so I have an announcement to make. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like, but as well, if you want part 2 of this video, it's coming out next Monday. But if you want it sooner, then consider becoming a Patreon member, as it's only $4.99 and it'll get you access to next week's One Piece video, but as well, my video on Barati, Arlong Park, and Logtown arcs right now. That's just $5 for hours of content weeks before it's public on YouTube, and not only that, but every Monday a new One Piece video goes up for Patreon members early. So become a Patreon member and get subscribed. I'll see you guys next week on the adventures of One Piece.